Hi guys, Virginia here, and I'm back with another process video for SpiegelMom scraps. Now I'm not doing a scrapbook layout today. I'm doing something different. I felt like doing something different. This will be my last project for the SpiegelMom scraps design team. My term ends at the end of this month, and I'm a little bit sad. Well, not a little bit. I'm a lot sad. I love SpiegelMom scrap sequins, and yeah. Don't think that I will not continue to play with them because I have a huge stash and they're so gorgeous, so you will definitely see sequins on future layouts. But like I said, I wanted to do something a little bit different for this, so I thought I would make a card and a bookmark. And Edison came in halfway through and decided she liked the look of the bookmark, so that was going to her. And the card was, well, just for fun. I'm sure I will find someone to use it on. But what I'm starting with is the bookmark. So I've got some Nina Solar White 110-pound cardstock, and I've got some Distress Oxides and worn lipstick and spun sugar. That's the one, and I think it's a Mama Elephant Cloud stencil. I may be wrong, but I'm sure I would have shown you the packet earlier on. And I'm just kind of going along and stenciling on some clouds. So my piece of paper is I've cut it way larger than it needed to be, but that's so that if there was a portion of the clouds that I didn't like, I could kind of trim it down. But I'm going to go through and finish stenciling these clouds. So I've done the worn lipstick on the clouds on the bottom, and about halfway up I've started using the spun sugar just to kind of give it a bit of varied look in the colour, and then I'm just going over softly with that spun sugar just to kind of soften the white that's been left behind, and just kind of blend it all together a little bit. So I'm going to sit that aside and let it dry, and I've got some Mama Elephant little monkey agenda stamps. They're super cute. No, sorry, these are the fairy ones. The monkeys are in the next one. These are the little fairy agenda stamps, and I'm just pulling out 5 little fairies, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp them with my Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I'm going to do some alcohol colouring. So I've just put them in my little stamp press thingamajig. I think it's a We Are Memory Keepers one. I have a Misty, I have a mini Misty, but I've haven't used it. I don't do a lot of stamping. So I'm going to go ahead and colour these with my alcohol markers. They're not Copics, they are a cheaper version, but they do just fine for me. So that's why I'm not bothering to show you the colours, because they're probably of no use to you. But I'm just going to go through. I'm not going to make you watch the whole process. It's pretty simple. They're really tiny images, so about 2 colours is just about your limit for what you need to be using for blending. All 3, I've got 3 there for the hair. I think it's probably because it's the largest bit on the fairies. So I'm just going through. I'm going to do 3 blonde ones and 3 brunettes. And I think we kind of skipped 2 through the process very shortly. I'm just looking through my colours. I've got a little colour chart off to the side that I've written down all the numbers and kind of swatched them out as well, just to make things handy, make life a little bit easier for myself. Okay, just about done. So I'm going to fill this bookmark with some sequins from the, I think it's Rose Gold Glory, I think it is. It's the Rose Gold one that came in the National Scrapbook Day sequin mixes. And one of the newer ones, the Vintage Dowry mix, I thought it was just gorgeous and pink, and I had to do something really girly with it, so that's what I'm going to use that for. And I've also popped a little bit of Wink of Stella, clear Wink of Stella, on the fairy wings, and then let that dry. So I've gone ahead and used these are some Lawn Fawn. There we go, I'm just showing you there's some clouds. I do have some plain ones, but I couldn't be bothered looking for them. So I just used them, and I cut some clouds out of vellum, and I'm just going to go here with my T-square ruler and a pencil and kind of mark out the shape of a really long, large tag for my bookmark. So I'm just using it, doing some lines. I'm going to do a line at the bottom, and then I'm going to find my center point and just make a tag edge at the top, and then I can go ahead and trim off the excess. And then I've got a giant tag for a bookmark. So super simple, really easy to do. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog on my throat. I've been talking all day. I'm on my second week. If you didn't already know, I've gone back to work. Got a job, and yeah, I'm on my second week of work and talk a lot during the day. It's a lot of explaining and stuff to people. So yeah, I'll get there eventually. So that's all trimmed down. I've got my little vellum clouds I'm just popping in place. I am strategically placing those fairies on those clouds and overlapping those clouds, because that's going to be the spot where I adhere those clouds onto the background, like behind those fairies and stuff, and where they kind of overlap. That's a good way to hide your adhesive. So there I am. I've just popped that fairy down with a little glue dot, and just popping another little glue dot behind this vellum. No, I decided I'd use some tape just to make sure, so I can just kind of pop that in place, and then where they hang over the edge I will cut the excess of those clouds off. So again, a little glue dot behind the fairy, a little bit of red tape behind the cloud, and then they're all popped in place. And I decided I didn't want the back of the tag to be white, I wanted it to be coloured, so I've just grabbed some pink scrap pattern paper. I think it's from the Pink Paisley, what's the last collection she had? Whimsical? Horizon. I think it was Horizon. That was actually sitting on the ground next to me. Don't think my craft room was a mess. It's just a pile of that collection that I was using on the ground next to me. So it was simple. I just grabbed that and then back the back of that tag with that. So I'm going to go ahead and make my little pocket. I've just got a 12 by 12 page protector and my fuse tool. I haven't brought this thing out in a while, so I thought I'd give it a go, and clearly I haven't used it in a while because I do stuff up a little bit. It takes me a couple of goes to get it right, but that's okay. I've got a whole 12 by 12 page protector there to ruin in the process, but it doesn't take me that long. So I've just gone ahead and done the bottom. I'm trying to line it up, and then I'm using my little ruler. I didn't like that line, so I'm going to do another one. There we go. I think that's sealed now. There's a bit of a fine balance with this thing, getting the pressure and the speed just right, but once you get it right you'll soon get there. I didn't like that line, so I'm going to do another one. Try it again. There we go, and away we go. I think that was my last stuff up on that one. There we go. And this one works out quite fine. I've kind of got the idea now. And then I'm just going to trim out the basic shape, and then I can go ahead and cut off those edges a bit better with some sharper scissors. I'm sorry, that's off screen a little bit. And I've left the top open so that I can pop my sequins in there. So I'm just pouring in some of those vintage dowry sequins into the top, and then I go ahead and add some of those rose gold ones as well, and then kind of mix them all together, get them all shaken up, and then I can use my fuse tool to seal it all up, top and bottom, and that one goes much better than my previous attempts at using the fuse tool. There we go. I can trim off the excess of that, tidy up my workstation a little bit, and then I'm going to get out my crocodile, and I'm going to punch a hole. You don't necessarily have to use a crocodile. You can use just any old hole punch if you want, but I'm using my crocodile because it's got the eyelet setter in it as well, and I wanted to pop an eyelet in, so I'm just doing that now, popping a little pink one in. I'm setting that in place, and that's going to seal up that top hole as well. So I can pop that out of the way, and now I'm going to pop a little kind of tassel and tag thing, and this is when Eddie came in and chimed in and decided what she wanted to go on it. There's a little hands, I'd like this and all this. So we've pulled out a few things. We've got a little pom-pom and a little golden pink tassel, a little butterfly charm, and a little letter A charm as well. And I'm just threading a bit of pink embroidery thread through the hole, and then I'm tying these smaller bits on, and then I'm going to use the excess of that plus some other embroidery thread to make a larger tassel. She was asking me what the metal ruler is. What's that for? So I'm just tying them all on nice and tight so they don't go anywhere. And I think a lot of this ends up being off camera. I do apologise, but we'll get there. So just a double knot, and then I'm going to go and grab some more pink embroidery thread, and I'm just wrapping it around 2 fingers. It's kind of roughly the length that I want it, and it's a kind of a big loop now. Then I'm going to tie that onto that bit of embroidery thread that's on that little jumble of charms and stuff, and then I can go ahead and grab another bit of embroidery thread and just kind of loop it around the top, and it's going to form your little top piece for your tassel. I do apologise that this isn't out of camera. There are plenty of tutorials on YouTube on how to make a little tassel, by the way. It's really easy. So I'm just pulling that, cutting off the excess, and then I'm going to cut through those bottom portions and just tidy up the ends to make a larger tassel. So there we go. Cutting off those excess bits, and there we go. Super cute little pink bookmark. Okay, so I'm moving on to my next project, which will be a little shaker card, and this is where I use the little mama elephant, little monkey agendas. And all my stamps are like these ones that I'm using for these projects are brand new, so I've had a bit of trouble stamping them, of course, because they're brand new and they've not been primed, and so the stamping's not coming out too great. So I do end up stamping a few of each just to try to get a good image. I do get it eventually. I'm going to go in with my third one. I'm just going to use 3 little monkeys on this one. Then I'm going to stamp multiple times. The good thing is about those other little images aren't wasted. I just kind of coloured the ones that I needed, and Eddie took off with the other ones and coloured them herself, and she was happy as. So yeah, they don't get wasted. Okay, so I'm coming in with my alcohol markers. Again, I'm going to colour them. Super simple, and like I've mentioned before, these aren't Copic, so I'm not going to bother showing you the colours, but I do show you a little bit of my colouring process. Apologise for the banging. Mum's getting stuff out to cook something in the kitchen. I don't know what it is. Okay, I'm going to go in a little bit of pink for the ears, colour in the face, just add a little bit of shading in there, and then blend it out. And then I'm going to start on my next one. Just starting with the face. These were super easy to colour because they were limited colours. Okay, so we skipped 2, and I've got this round die. I think it's a Simon Says Stamps one, but it's a circular piece with these vine kind of images, and I've got some Nina Solar White 110 pound cardstock. That's generally what I use on my cards and for colouring and blending and stuff on. For cards, so I'm tracing around that die and with a pencil, and then just lightly erasing those pencil lines. And I want to cut this die out a couple of times, but I wanted like a range of colours, and I didn't want to use cardstock. I wanted it to be kind of really mottled and not perfect, if that makes sense. And not like the colour of cardstock where it's just all one solid colour. I wanted a bit of variation. There we go, that's the word. The word of the day, variation. Okay, so just blending it around. I'm being really rough with this, super rough, and just kind of blending it on. Distress inks don't blend very well on Nina Solar White cardstock, I can tell you that right now. You have to either go really, really light, or saturate the page really, really thoroughly, and I kind of, yeah, did a real lazy job of it, but it didn't matter, because for the purpose that I was using it for, i.e. cutting out the dyes, it really didn't matter. I think for blending distress oxides you want to use Bristol Smooth cardstock. It generally comes out beautifully. It doesn't go on very easily, it takes a while to build up the colour, but you do get beautifully blended distress inks on there. Distress oxides I find blend on pretty much anything. They are beautiful to work with. Okay, so just picking my third green. Like I said, I want a few variations. So I think this is Peacock Feathers, and I decided I didn't quite like this one, so I'm going to do another one just in case, of the green, and just kind of roughly filling out that circular portion so that I can cut that circular die out of it. Okay, and tidy up my mess. I've just got a bit of copy paper underneath. And I also want to bring in these lawn fawn dies. They are some little palm trees and a hammock. And I'm going to do the same with this and just grab some Nina Solar White cardstock, 110 pound, and just blend some green distress ink on it. I think that's mowed lawn. And then I grab some brown as well, and just do it really roughly, because then I can come back after, once I've done the die cutting, and add in a bit of shading, a bit of variation in the colour with a darker version of the brown and the green, if that makes sense, but you'll see me come back shortly. So I'm going to make a background piece now. I've cut it down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, kind of a standard US size card. And I've got my Nina Solar White cardstock, and I've got some tumbled glass distress oxide, and I'm using that cloud stencil again. I really love this stencil, and I'm just kind of building some clouds along the entire piece of that cardstock, just going in. It's super easy to do, but it just gives so much dimension to the layout, just with a simple stencil. It's really fun to do. So I'm just going through finishing that off. I'm just going to come in and blend a little bit into the bottom, and then soften up again some of those white spots that I've got in the clouds, just so it's not so harsh. And then I've got a large circle die and my largest rectangle stitch frame from Lawn Fawn, and I've just gone ahead and cut that out so that I can get the stitching line detail on that outer portion, which in the end doesn't even matter because I end up covering it up. And then I've cut out that circle portion as well, and that circle fits pretty much just about exactly the same size as these circle leaf wreaths that I've cut out as well. So I've gone ahead and cut them with the same die, well, not the same die, with that leaf die. And I've just chosen the 3, and I'm layering them up, just kind of rotating them around a bit so that those leaves are kind of filling in that space a lot. And I'm going to glue them together, just using some Scotch tacky glue. Like I said, I've trimmed them down so that they'll fit behind that card nicely. They do hang over a little bit, but that's okay. And then I made the mistake, because I was going to make a shaker pocket in this portion here, but then I go ahead and glue the top on. And it wasn't until later that I realised, whoopsie. So I make it work in the end, and I actually really love the end result. Yeah, I'm happy with the end card, but that's okay. So I've glued that down. I'm just trimming off the excess bits that are sticking over the edge, and I've got this gorgeous kind of like tunnel looking portion. Then I can pop that circle piece that I've cut out in behind it, and I think this might be when I realised, yeah, but that's okay. I am going to fix it. I'm going to add a bit of a grass verge at the bottom, so I've just got some mow lawn, and I think I bring in another few colours as well, and I'm just blending that on the bottom portion of this cardstock, just about the height to kind of fit that bottom part of the card. So I'm just blending a couple of colours together. We've got some Twisted Citron, and blending that mow lawn back in, and then I come in with another darker green. I'm not sure what one it is. I'm sorry, it's too small to read, but I'm just coming in a little bit of shading. And like I said, distress oxides don't blend too great on Nina Solar White, but that's okay. I'm just kind of roughly doing it. I'm going to grab my largest stitched border rectangle frame from Lawn Fawn and cut that out, and then I used a grass border die as well and cut across that. So I've got this gorgeous stitch detail. So I'm thinking now, how can I get this shaker pocket in? I really want to create a shaker pocket, so I've grabbed my largest and then my next size down of my stitched border dies, and grabbed some Lawn Fawn perfectly plaid paper in purple. I thought the purple was a nice contrast, and I've just cut a little frame, and I'm going to cut down this grass verge the same size as the inner portion of that frame so that it'll fit in there. So I go ahead and do that, and that sits in there nicely. And so I'm going to back that frame with some acetate, and I'm going to make a shaker pocket on top, and I'm actually, like I said, I'm happy with the end results. I think had I popped the shaker pocket in amongst those leaves and stuff, they would have got all caught up in amongst those vines on that die cut and that circular piece, but this way they don't. They kind of all fall down behind that grass area that I create, so I'm quite happy with that. So I'm just backing this frame with some acetate, just using double-sided tape for this. I'm going to trim off the excess. I can go ahead and pop my little grass verge in place as well. So I'm just using ATG tape for that, and that sits in there nicely. Just layering that up. I'm still deciding how I can get the card to work. So I'm going to add some foam tape behind my frame. I'm going to double it up to make it nice and thick so that those sequins move really freely in my shaker pocket. And I'm cutting it down super thin, and then I'm just placing it on the edge of that frame. So I'm going to do that super quickly. I think we all know how to make shaker pockets. I probably could have cut this out. It is a rather long video. So I'm just going to finish off these last little bits. And I'm doubling it up on those areas. Again, so those sequins can move freely in amongst that shaker pocket and the card. So just tidying that up, and I'm going to finish off this little area up here. You want to make sure you don't have any gaps in the foam around your shaker pocket, otherwise you'll lose your sequin. So I'm just removing the backing paper off my tape, and then I'm going to adhere that to some acetate after I filled it with sequins, of course. So I've got a couple of sequin mixes here. I should know what they are. They're newer ones. We've got the Lush Greenery. No, I'm going to have to hunt now because I've put them away. We've got that Summer Feeling, so that's got some gorgeous glittery green ones with some pops of purple, which is why I thought that that purple frame would go nicely. And then Carnival Ride, which is a mix of kind of greens and blues, and I really liked those mixes because they went really well with kind of the colours of the card, and I guess the monkeys like gave it that kind of jungle feel to the card. So I've gone ahead and I've filled that little shaker pocket, and then I've backed that other piece with acetate, so it's completely see-through, but the shaker pocket is contained. And now I'm just going to kind of adhere this card piece onto the back of my frame. So I'm just lining up that circular piece on the back so that that will sit there nicely, and I can get those lines of the clouds matched up. And I am going to finish off my die cut palm trees. So I'm just bringing in a darker brown now, and just kind of adding a little bit to the top and the bottom ends where the ink isn't really saturated, and that's given a bit of variation on the colour. So just blending that on super quickly, just on a few of them. I think I cut way more trees than I needed, but that's okay, because you can always just kind of put them to the side and use them on another project later on. Okay, and I'm bringing in, like I said, a darker green for my leaves on the palm trees. So just blending that in on the tips of the leaves and at the base, just to give a bit of shadow. So just working my way around. Again, not being super specific where it goes. It's super easy to do. So just going through, blending that on. I always love how after you've worked with your distress inks and done a whole lot of blending, you end up with coloured fingertips that don't wash off. It's always quite funny when you go to work. But yeah, okay, so I'm laying this out, and I'm thinking, I wonder if I can get it to work without that shaker pocket on top, and I just add some sequins. So I'm just trying it here and realise, no, it does look a bit silly. Those palm trees are floating in the clouds. So I go ahead and I kind of place them all out, and put my little monkeys in place as well. And I decide that definitely it needs that grass verge at the bottom, and the frame around it to kind of have a place for those trees to be grounded. So I'm just going to adhere this card base to the back of my panel, and because I've got it bumped up a little bit of those die cuts at the top, those circular pieces, I'm just going to balance it out with a few layers of cardstock at the bottom, just to make sure that it's all even and it's going to sit nicely. And I'm putting it all together to see whether I like it, and I'm quite happy with it, so I'm going to adhere this piece onto my card base and pop that in place, and then I can go ahead and line everything back up and glue it in place, just using Scotch tacky glue, and just kind of placing things as I go. I don't mind if they hang off the edge of the card, I can trim them and it's going to be framed. So I'm just kind of working at creating a little scene and having a whole lot of trees and like giving it a real jungle feel for those monkeys on the card. So I'm just going to keep adding them on. Lots of glue to keep everything in place. Add my little coconuts. In my other trees, again just creating a scene, just kind of encompassing everything. I can add my little monkeys in, and I'm just continuing to pop that shaker pocket in place to kind of reference where that grass is going to go. I don't want to cover anything up too much. More palm trees. I'm going to add another 3 on this side just to kind of balance it out, and to give that full look, another one at the top. Okay, add some little coconuts as well, and they're part of the die set. And I'm just going to find a little home for my monkeys to sit. So I like that one sitting in the tree, and I just need to find a spot for the third one. So I'm just going to pop that in place, and I shuffle the other one over a bit more to the center of that circular part of the card, and I just glue that one down in place. I can cut off the excess that's hanging off the side, and then I can go ahead and pop my top layer in place. So I'm just going to use a bunch of tape, and I think I actually use ATG on the acetate on the bottom, and then adhere it all down. I do afterwards off camera just die cut a sentiment out of some gold foil cardstock that just says happy birthday, and I just glue that in place. But that's super simple. But yeah, after that, that is pretty much it for my little card and bookmark process. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, and don't forget you can use the code Virginia15 at the SpiegelMom Scrap Shop to get 15% off your purchase. And until next time, bye guys.